Hello there, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Tuesday. We're going to talk about some things today. First, we're going to look at Sam Seder a little bit, okay? Because obviously, Jubilee, as you can see from the screen, Jubilee is very copyright hungry. But anyone who dares to play a clip from Jubilee. So we're going to watch like just very, very, very small snippets of the first segments. And then maybe throughout the week, I don't know, maybe we'll watch some more of it if we can, depending on what happens, of Sam Seder on Jubilee. Because the parts I saw were pretty interesting, and I feel like I got a lot to say about it. Did he do well? Did he do bad? And then after that, I want to talk about Ethan Klein. You know, he has that amazing content nuke where he annihilated Hasan. And apparently the reaction to that is completely unhinged. I don't know if you've been following the story.
I did.
At all.
I watched part of the video. So
right. And we'll watch part of Ethan's video where he kind of breaks down that literally people from, you know, the far left communities, from Hasan's communities, from Denim's communities, from other people's communities, have been trying to get the government to take Ethan Klein's children away. Okay. They're literally, you know, we've heard of people doing SWATs and stuff, which are disgusting and horrible. And now we have people literally calling the government to try to take their children from them, which is obviously reprehensible. And whether Reddit is doing anything to stop this, people are using Reddit as a platform to organize all this stuff. And then after that, there was a pretty major update in the Ukraine situation. Zelensky and the American delegation have met in Saudi Arabia. They've been talking this whole time, and they came to some kind of agreement, and we'll talk about that at the end.
cool. Hey, I still got comics for sale. There's a link in the description. There's a link in the chat. So, and if you order today, I can usually get it out. I have a bunch of packages to go out today anyway, so I'll get it out today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that. Unless you're overseas.
What's that?
Never mind. Okay.
What'd you
say?
So what was that?
Don't worry about it. So, okay, let's jump into this. Okay, we're gonna be doing a lot of like literally playing for like 5 or 10 seconds and then moving around here.
I mean, we might be okay with the copyright thing.
I see you have the screen just covered. Okay.
I'm doing my best. I'm going to try to move it around so we at least get the subject.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to do a little producing on the fly here.
I'm impressed.
My first claim is Trump's attack on DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
Okay. What does that even mean? What do you even think the argument there is going to be?
So I say it again. I guess it's on the screen here. I just can't read
Trump's
it.
Trump's attack on DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
That doesn't make any sense at all. That makes absolutely no sense. How is DEI related to giving corporations more power?
I don't know. The only thing I could think of, and now he does finally explain this, and it makes no sense. It's like conspiracy theory level take. The only thing I could think of, you could say is, well, if you believe that corporations are racist or bigoted and intentionally don't want to hire minorities or intentionally don't want to do any of these things, then yeah, you're giving them more power to allow them to like ignore, you know, underserved communities, as they say. That's the only argument I could think you could try to bring forward. He doesn't actually make that argument. It's very strange.
Right. Most people would argue the opposite, that the DEI gives the corporations more power to discriminate against people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's why it's completely opposite here. This guy looks like he's been discriminated against his whole life. Well, look, you look like a pedo. Of course you're going to get discriminated against.
I don't understand. Listen, maybe I'm just a boomer millennial, okay? I don't understand the Zoomers and the younger generation who've decided to bring back the creepy pedo.
The pedo mustache, yeah.
Yeah, the pedo mustache. These people are supposed to hate cops, and they're like, we're going to go back for the cop/pedo/porn star 1980s look. I think it's really bad. Really bad. But whatever. It's what these kids want.
This mustache here says, "Children, come get in my white van."
Exactly. Anyway, let's watch a little bit of this.
Hire these people on unfair bases, right?
Okay, but DEIA is not about quotas or anything like that. It is about protections for people within these organizations, or to make sure that you have different communities that have the opportunity to apply to these things.
Right.
So he's making this argument that it's really, really weaselly, where in the beginning, he said DEI, but then after that, he's like DEIA, which is something that I hadn't really heard about. I'm pretty sure most people have probably never heard about it.
DEIA?
Yeah.
Like the letter A?
The letter A.
Oh, okay.
And so what he's saying is that I went and I found it. So in Trump's in his initial, executive order where he talked about getting rid of DEI programs from the government, not only does it say DEI, but it also says DEIA, and the A stands for accessibility. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are certain rules and regulations that the government puts on companies in terms of like, you have to have wheelchair accessibility, you have to have, sometimes you have to have braille on things. There's always like handicap accessibility things, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I see that all the time.
I've not really ever heard anyone in the political context complain about any of these things at all, ever.
Yeah.
Like,
these goddamn wheelchair ramps.
Yeah, these goddamn these freaking why do the handicap get a parking space so close to the store? Right?
Yes, of course. Why is there this braille in this elevator? Who the fuck put this here?
It's, nothing
so
gets
offensive.
me so offended. But when I go in the elevator and I don't see a nice button with a number on it, I see these little dots and I'm like, what do those dots mean? Okay. I don't know what those dots mean. They could be saying all sorts of crazy things to blind people. They could be like when you go and you get, your hair cut or your nails did. And it's like the people are talking in like either like in Spanish or Vietnamese or something.
These fucking white people.
Yeah. And they're making fun of you this whole time. How do I know the blind people aren't making fun of me in the elevator? They're laughing their blind ass off at me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But anyway, no one actually cares about any of this accessibility shit. I've never heard anyone complain about it. I don't even know why it's in the executive order. I don't know if there was some kind of woke. I don't even know why they're connected. I don't know if there was some kind of woke stuff that under the Biden administration got kind of suckered into accessibility. I tried to research it. I couldn't really find much talking about it at all because, again, no one ever brings it up. So to me, it's pretty gross because Sam does this kind of like bait and switch where he's like DEI and he's like, no, I'm talking about DEI. I'm talking about accessibility. And you got to be like, if anyone ever does, you got to hold fast, you got to hold strong because they're trying to bait you. You just say, listen, I don't have a problem with, I don't know what was going on with the accessibility thing. If they're like harming, handicap spaces or wheelchair ramps, I disagree with that. That's not anything that I agree with. I'm in favor of getting rid of the DEI policies, not this handicap stuff. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm sure business owners do complain about it to some extent, but
I'm sure because it costs them, more money to do it.
It's not in the public eye. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I just think it was really weaselly for Sam to try to do this like stupid.
Yo, of course. Look, Sam is the king of the weaselly maneuver here.
Right.
The vice president of the United States, after the president drops out 2 months before
Okay, so hold on. So what the guy says here is he says that Kamala Harris is an example of a DEI candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is Sam's response. Yes.
Primary, none of these things.
So you're saying that Kamala was the vice president of the United States after the president drops out 2 months before the convention. You think that's a DEI?
She wasn't
higher?
Of course.
It's just so ludicrous too, because again, obviously Joe Biden picked Harris not for her qualifications. He picked her entirely for her identity purposes. She was a horrendous candidate in 2020. She's a really lame vice president, and she ran horribly for president. And Biden chose her because so many people were saying this. They're like, can the Democrats choose someone who's not Kamala Harris? Because then they'll be jumping over a black woman. Is that even allowed?
Yeah,
right.
That was the argument for not having a primary.
Yes, and it's very obnoxious because Sam acts so incredulous. Like, oh, you're saying that the vice president was a DI pick? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And not only that, there's so many people on the left that were saying that too. In the entire conversation about who to replace Joe Biden with, it was Kamala Harris. You can't do it. You can't replace her. And we said if you choose her, it's going to be a disaster. Okay. And guess what? You were completely
It was a
correct.
disaster.
Yeah.
But Sitch, we could have a contested convention, right? We could just figure it out there. Let everyone throw their hat in the ring.
That would have been
right?
much better. They would never have chosen Harris probably either.
Right. I think that's what Obama and Nancy Pelosi were actually pushing for.
That's what literally everyone but Biden and Kamala Harris wanted.
Yes, yeah.
And
And
Biden just
all,
like,
all
no.
the identity politics people.
Yes, yes.
And Sam Harris. Look, Sam Harris is going to bat for that.
Right.
Mandatory stuff. That's what this is all about.
But you're cherry picking the portions of DEI that even conservatives don't have issues. Conservatives don't have issues with making workplaces.
The whole DEI apparatus within our government was a function of doing exactly what I said. Had nothing to do with quotas.
I hate this. This is like a Sam Cedar-ism.
Yeah.
If somebody makes a good point, immediately starts talking over them.
Yes. Yeah.
Completely ignores it. He also does another huge Sam Cedar-ism that I hate, is he starts asking like little nitpicky questions. Like he doesn't acknowledge the argument. He's just like, what is the population of Romania?
Right. Well, it all is from this weird framing of DEIA in the pretend that there was not some kind of. It's very dishonest because he's going to, throughout this conversation, he's pretending there was not something that, everyone would call woke, that there wasn't some sort of like trying to bend over to give jobs or money specifically to non-white people, specifically to males. He's going to pretend like that wasn't happening when not only was it happening, but he's in favor of all of that. And he's just doing it for this debate performance, just because most people are like caught off guard by like this like accessibility argument, which they're not really aware of or care about.
Yeah. This was his smart move.
Yes. Now, so let me read. I want to read from my notes here. This is from January 20th, 2021. Okay. So this is when Biden becomes president. Okay. First day, I guess, actually, January 20th. Biden passes an executive order called Executive Order on Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Underserved Communities through the Federal Government.
That sounds like DEI.
Yes, right. And so, yes, this entire executive order is all about, literally it says, bringing equality and equity, to underserved communities. That's the language that they use.
Right.
And it kind of goes through all the various things that they do. And so here's someone who wrote, there's a report that someone wrote that I can't read the whole thing. It's like, it's literally 70 pages. Okay. 70 pages of all the various kind of woke things that this executive order and the Biden administration pushed for that Sam is pretending didn't exist.
Right.
So let me read a handful of them to you. The Biden White House highlighted hundreds of millions of dollars to be spent to help secure high quality jobs, prioritizing workers from underserved communities, which means minorities, in urban and rural areas. Restaurant revitalization to support over 72,000 restaurants owned specifically by women and people of color, nearly $100 million in grants to help minorities and other underserved entrepreneurs seeking capital to grow scale in their business, and $3.1 billion to funding distressed USDA farmer loan borrowers, and $2.2 billion in assistance to farmers who've experienced discrimination.
Grants, that's free fucking money right there.
Right. And if you remember, this came up a bunch during COVID, was like, okay, why are we giving specific grants of money to people, not on the basis of whether they need it or not, but on the basis of their skin color, on the basis of their gender?
Yeah.
Remember this? This was all like,
that's some reparations workaround right there.
Yes. Yeah. They were like, okay, we're going to give specific relief to people based on their skin color. And then remember, there was even this, and this was in New York, but remember there's a whole, like, we're trying to give the vaccine to people first if they're Black.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, wait, what? That's kind of insane. The administration, quote, released $260 million to eliminate administrative barriers that disproportionately prevent workers of color from completing benefit applications, and invested $500 million in workforce training partnerships across 31 states and Puerto Rico to help secure high-quality jobs and include good pay benefits and career mobility for an expected 50,000 Americans, which that sounds good. But it was prioritizing workers from, quote, underserved communities. Okay.
Right.
So like, It says the Washington Examiner reported an article that more than $16 million flowed last year from taxpayers to consulting firms and third parties for diversity training in the federal government. Spending records show the individual awards range from other $10,000 all the way up to, in one case, $4.3 million in diversity training. Okay.
Wow.
Diversity training. Here's some other examples. The Treasury established, this is under this executive order and under the Biden administration, the Treasury established the Equity Hub within the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Accessibility to lead research and policy analysis that supports the department in its effort to drive towards a more fair and equitable economy. I wonder what that means.
This is where they come in and tack all those rules onto the broadband bill.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
$125 million was transferred to Minority Business Development Agency for capital readiness programs, which builds a network of 43 technical assistant providers to support, quote, underserved entrepreneurs in launching or scaling businesses. Why, like, again, all these programs, you'd be like, okay, I'm in favor of helping small businesses. Why does it have to be specifically non-white small businesses?
Sounds
or
like a scam. Sounds like
women?
somebody just sets up an office somewhere and is like,
Yes.
we give advice to people of color to start businesses. Come in.
Right.
And nobody ever comes in. Like,
Well, I would be interested to know, like, yeah, how many small businesses actually benefited from any of this stuff?
yeah.
Finalize the development of the Treasury Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Action Plan to better identify the LGBTQIA plus population and to ultimately better understand the impact of Treasury policies on this community. Isn't that so great? We have we have to have the Treasury. The United States Treasury has to be identifying the LGBTQIA plus population and how to make Treasury policies that impact them. Not America, okay, but how are the gays impacted by Treasury fucking policy? Like, this is a joke. This is a fucking joke.
Do gay people not have bank accounts or use money?
They know they have. Okay, I don't know if you know this, Adam. I know you live in LA, but I don't know if you know there's a lot of gay people. And
there are. I know.
Yeah,
I see them all the time.
When gay people go to open a bank account, the bank teller, they're like, they first of all, they put like a big pink star on
next to their account.
On their account. And then whenever like gay people get money, it's actually pink. It's not green. It's like pink colored. Right. Yeah. If they use a credit card, it has to be pink. It has to have a rainbow on it, just so like the government can identify where the non-straights are at.
Where I get some of that pink money. What happens?
Pink money?
What happens when they buy a latte at Starbucks? Does the money turn green when they give it to the straight barista?
No, what they have to do, it's actually, you know what? It actually adds another, and this is where I think the Biden administration and the left would have a good argument. It actually adds a lot of expenses to businesses because they have to have two different cash registers. They have to have the cash registers for the straights and the cash registers for the non-straights. And so they can only give, I don't know if you noticed this, that's why at Starbucks, they have to put gloves on. Like if you're straight and you work at Starbucks, you're not allowed to touch the gay money.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So you have to put it with gloves on.
AIDS, right?
Yeah. Who knows, right? You might catch the gay. So you have to put the gay money in the gay cash register. Right.
This is bad. I don't like this analogy.
You don't like this? I agree. Listen, I'm in favor of everyone, regardless of sexual orientation, being able to use the same money. I know it's a very brave and bold stance, but
you could give them like a gay debit card or something, like a
if
pink
they want,
Barbie debit card.
I mean, if you want your Hello Kitty debit card, okay, you can apply for one, right?
Yeah.
Here's one: increase opportunities for Indian-owned economic enterprises. So Indian-owned specifically. Okay. Embedded.
What the fuck? For real?
For real. Yeah. Department will continue to monitor performance against annually established goals to ensure the benefits previously described are being realized. Additionally, the department will seek opportunities to collaborate with other federal partners to increase opportunities for Indian-owned businesses in federal procurement.
Like from India? Not Native American?
Yeah, no, from India. Yeah, not Native American. Yes.
Indian-owned business.
I'm assuming. Actually, yeah, it's a good. I don't know if I think they call them Native Americans or something else. I don't think they call them Indian.
What happened? Why are we? Where's the money for the Pakistanis?
I mean, they don't get any. We're not on good terms with Pakistan right now, so they're hiding bin Laden.
All of this is complete bullshit.
Yes,
and probably highly illegal. It does seem to go. It seems unconstitutional to me.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Embedded racial equity and justice across the department by providing technical assistance for bureau-specific racial equity and justice frameworks through the internal community of practice guide.
All right.
Strengthen integration of gender equality in the department's efforts to counter corruption and racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism.
This makes me
Second,
think the FBI is totally woke now, and we do
yeah.
need Cash Patel to like clean house.
Oh, this is still the Treasury Department. This isn't even the FBI.
Look, the Treasury
Yes.
Department, then all these departments are woke as fuck.
Right.
You can't go through 4 years of this nonsense. Every sensible person probably quit.
You would, yeah, or they probably just kept their mouth shut and just kept swimming, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is terrible. Second, the department is working to ensure that the needs of historically marginalized and underserved communities are considered in the grant making process. In so doing, DOJ administers several grant programs that aim to ensure that populations, specific organizations, and communities that serve have more equitable access to funding, and that such funding is tailored to their needs. So, what that's saying through all that, government jargon,
The pink money, yeah.
Yeah,
they're
saying that we're specifically, and this is where like Sam and people like that kind of get weaselly, because like, yeah, if you look through, a lot of the government documentation, the word quota is not going to appear. They're not going to say, yes, there is a quota, but they're going to say, well, these communities are underserved, so you need to go give them more grants, right? Which, okay, what does that mean? It means you have to go specifically look for non-white people and women to give grants to and ignore, white people and men, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. So it's a quota in everything but name. Let's
majorly unfair.
I like this one. Secretary Raimondo announced a public goal to double the number of women working in the construction industry over the next 10 years.
No dude wants to work with women on the roofing job. Get the fuck out of here.
You got to listen, Adam, I don't know if you know this, but all those women with the tomboy abs, they need jobs too. Okay.
God, it's so...
All the tomboy ab women's want to work in construction, and all the men are keeping them out because they're horrible sexes.
It's so ridiculous. Like, nobody likes the slacker on the job site, and you want 50% of them to be slackers? Jesus, get the fuck out of here.
You sexist pig. How dare you assume that all the women working construction are going to be slackers?
I just, look, not only that, the men are going to get 50% less work done because they're going to be chatting up the fucking women. It's bullshit.
Well, it's ridiculous too, because I mean, obviously, listen, there's a lot of jobs in construction are not like actually like the physical construction part, but there's nothing at all that's preventing women from applying for jobs or getting jobs in that industry whatsoever.
The office is full of women in every construction company. The office is full of women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's just the whole thing is ridiculous. To achieve this goal, the department is promoting the goal through large implementation programs. Something, not quoted, Sam. Working with other agencies to do the same and highlighting commitments from labor and private sector to launch complementary efforts. Okay. So that sounds pretty, again, that sounds like the Department of Labor under Biden was like really, really pushing essentially for female quotas. Right. That's exactly what it sounds like to me.
Sounds exactly like it. Yeah.
Yes.
DEI up the wazoo. Right. First day in office.
Here's an interesting one. In 2022, the H3H3 funding opportunity announcement for veteran employment and training services required applicants to propose strategies to achieve economic opportunities and address historical inequalities. A full 10% of the applicant scores were based on the ability to serve historically underserved communities and how they will serve communities not currently being served. So they're basically saying that they're giving a 10% score for applicants based on how much they could figure out a way to specifically not help just veterans, but to make sure they're helping non-white veterans.
Wow.
So
they get an extra 10%?
Yes.
Right. So you can't get 100% unless you're serving marginalized communities.
Specifically. Yeah. You can't just remember I was on Sunday, we watched that video where there was that moderate Democrat group that was talking about strategies and how the Democrats should change their policies, and Steve Shives was losing his mind. And one of the things was saying, stop bringing people and dismantling them down to just their racial or gender category, right?
Right.
And Steve was like, yeah, you're right, bring back intersectionality, like that was going to solve anything.
Oh, yeah.
Embedded gender equity through the disruption of occasional segregation to improve wages and working conditions in key female-dominated sectors, reducing caregiving penalties for women and low-paid workers, and eliminate gender-based discrimination in the workplace to include trans women.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
Yes.
So now you have to go out and find some trans women to hire.
Of course.
What do you do? Put an ad out? Trans women.
Yeah. Right.
Job opening only for trans women.
Mm-hmm.
Call this number.
So, and I only read you like, I don't know, like 10 of these things. This is literally a document that's 70 pages. 70 pages of these different things that did that Sam here is pretending don't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's in favor of all this stuff. There's no way you could get him to come out and say, oh yeah, that's probably a little excessive.
But see, that's why this is so weaselly. He's in favor of all this. So if he's in a debate or conversation about it, just defend the policies. Don't play this game where you're like, oh, those policies don't exist. You're just making it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let me jump ahead here. Because no one really addresses this, obviously, which I don't really blame these people. They're not like, oh, I know that Sam Seder is going to make this wild claim, engage in this tactic. So this guy asked Sam Seder an interesting question. He asked Sam Seder, would you consider yourself racist? Okay, let's see what Sam's answer to this question is.
Are you suggesting we've moved past racism?
Would you consider yourself racist?
I consider myself, and sometimes I think we all practice like some form of, white supremacy. I think actually like we all do to some degree.
He's a white supremacist. Holy shit. Holy shit. Sam Seder is a white supremacist.
I know. He's Robin DiAngelo. All white people are inherently racist. We all practice white supremacy. Okay. We're all racist.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Isn't it? It's so bad.
Why would you say that?
Right. Okay, so let me jump ahead here. I think this is where someone finally asked him, let's see.
On which?
Oh yeah. Someone finally asked him, this guy, after 19 minutes and 30 seconds, he's like, what are you talking about? What? Explain the prompt please. Okay.
Part benefits corporations, like from your perspective.
So agencies, the U.S. government agencies, the vast majority of them, what they function to do is inhibit corporations from essentially externalizing their costs onto society.
Sure.
So
Okay, so hold on, let me pause here for a second before we get hit. So Sam gives this argument that is kind of unhinged. Okay. He gives a completely unhinged argument that has nothing to do with DI, where he talks about a company. He's talking about a hypothetical company that like makes Teflon or something for pans, and they have chemical runoff that goes in the water and poisons the water supply for the city.
That still happens? Didn't we clean that up back in the 60s?
Right. He's just saying hypothetical. Okay.
Right.
And so this guy asks him, he says, well, what does that have to do with DEI? Like at all? No one is, getting rid of DEI initiatives has nothing to do with getting rid of environmental protection initiatives and not poison the water supplies of towns. And this is Sam's answer. And this is why I got to ask you what the fuck they're talking about. Because they might,
I already know what it is.
They might show their ass and you could like avoid all of the debate tactics before here. Because what they're going to say is like retarded.
Right.
Society bears the cost of that.
Can you connect the dots for me, though? Because it sounds like we're talking about something completely different.
And so the DEIA stuff is just the beginning of demoralizing these agencies and trying to wreck them from the inside. It's all part of like Russell Votes thing, the OMB, the whole Schedule F where they get rid of civil servants and they demoralize people and they don't want them to be able to function.
So the argument he's making is that the DI stuff is really part of a conspiracy to demoralize the government, to make the government ineffective.
Getting rid of the DEI stuff?
Yes. Yeah.
Is to demoralize the government because they're so excited to be doing this DEI stuff all the time?
You heard him. It made no sense what he just said.
Yeah, totally.
He's the guy with the, from Always Sunny with the, who's Pepe Silva. He's got the conspiracy, cork board behind him with all the red string. That's his argument.
Bonkers.
That's his. It took 21 minutes to get to this unhinged argument for why it's and it's also it's so deceptive because again, Sam is in favor of all of these policies, and instead of just saying he's in favor of these policies and debating that point, he comes up with this like retarded conspiracy theory and then just says there is no DI, there's no quota. prove it, prove it, prove it. And people like don't have a fucking fact sheet in front of them. So like, what are you talking about? You're just denying reality existing in front of our faces.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's ironic because the part of this debate that went viral is someone kind of doing the same tactic back to Sam, which I don't really agree with their argument, which is they're supposedly, I don't know anything about this guy, but supposedly people on X were saying that this guy's like a Christian nationalist, and he was kind of like giving Sam Seder the moral foundation questionnaire from Height, like, you know, how you have to argue against incest, you have to argue against cannibalism, you have to argue against all these like things that people are like just used to not having to argue against because everyone agrees that they're bad. And Sam couldn't really articulate the argument there. And so people were sharing around like, oh, Sam Seder got like totally pwned. And I'm like, I mean, I guess, but it's not really something anyone's ever used to. But then I watch, so I think it's kind of like a bullshit like thing to attack someone is. But then I watched the beginning of this and it's like, oh, he's literally doing a very similar tactic in the beginning of this debate to people using his own, you know, his own talking points.
So it seems fair.
I mean, I guess it's fair. I think I still think it's
tactic.
dumb, but yeah,
Right.
It's so it doesn't really like further the conversation, I think, in a productive way at all.
I think you can play a little bit more of the video without. I feel like we watched like half a video before we even got copyright claimed. So
the way when we've watched these videos, I don't know if it was like the length. It would be like if we would watch it for more than like 30 seconds at a time, or
yeah, but you're watching it for like a second and a half.
I know. Listen,
like we can barely see any of the video here.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Okay.
Matter. So
I think people are going to be like, I want more of the video. Why
well,
are you pausing the video so much?
We
you didn't play any of the video.
Well, they can cry about it.
They will be crying. But look, I don't
cry
care.
about it.
Cry all you want.
We can watch more of the video later in the week. So
okay.
I just wanted to go over
I'm
the
saying
first
I think
question,
we were like super. We could probably watch a little bit more of the video and get away with it.
We also got hit with a copyright for the stream from fucking Charlie Kirk, which is kind of obnoxious and ridiculous. So
well, we got rid of it.
But
it's a little jumpy.
Yeah.
An hour in, but who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Anyway. But yeah, no, we'll go through more of it later. Thal for $20 says, Adam, don't let Sitch lie to you. Sitch knows the price of eggs are so high because his war with the horse-sized ducks. The price of eggs is what started the war in the first place.
Are they duck eggs?
There you
Doesn't
go.
make a lot of sense, Thal, but thanks
Look
for the
at
super
that.
chat.
And Thal for another $20 says, wait a minute, Adam, Sammy has abs. Sitch is going to force her to repair his house and do all the manual labor. Don't let him get away with enslaving our Sammy Adam. Well, first of all, she's not our Sammy. She's my Sammy. Okay?
Right. She's already been enslaved. So take
she already
that.
is. She already is. All right.
Too late for you.
Right. Floki VT for $2 says, I can't understand what you're asking on screen. Yeah. What does it say on screen? I'm not sure what it says there.
Mm-hmm.
It says, please don't copyright strike us.
Yeah, that's for the people who want to copyright strike us.
Right, right.
In the
Squeeze
video.
Louise for $10 says, all Zoomer fashion needs to be looked at with the lens of irony. The fanny pack pedo stash aren't back because they're cool. They're back because they're funny. I mean, that's retarded. That's literally, like, you're probably right, but that's literally brain rot. If your thought process is, I want to look horrible because it's funny to me, that's cringe. Okay, that's weird. So that's
grooming is not funny.
It's literally I'm pretending to be retarded meme. Messy Tenant for $2 says it's better be on Spotify later, Adam. I think you're gonna be disappointed on that one.
That's hilarious.
RBGH fan for $5 says both sides are hypocritical on this. If you're for discrimination laws, you can't also use I'm a private company, bro. Defense public is different. That is true. That is true.
Yeah, that's terrible. Just on the Spotify thing too, someone in the comments did say that they use the YouTube Music app and it works great. Like they were on Spotify as well. So I think that's why the Spotify numbers were way down when I posted there, because like 1,000 people have already migrated over to the YouTube Music app and are doing just fine.
Just use YouTube Music. Messy Tenant. Just use YouTube.
Well, no,
Music.
there's a specific app. There's the YouTube app, and then there's a YouTube Music app, and the YouTube Music app lets you listen like a podcast.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just use YouTube Music.
Yeah, I asked them if they had YouTube Premium, and they said no. It works just fine. So
Libertarians
do it.
ask.
Stop complaining.
Yeah, exactly. Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, fun fact, most Braille is actually Nazi propaganda. I've heard that.
Right,
It makes
yeah.
sense.
You feel down there and little dots are like, yes, the Jews. Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
Whoa! You know, you always see those little the little white and red stripes on the
Bad news.
the blind people's little canes. What you don't know is if you look at the bottom of the cane is a little swastika
Right.
imprinted on it. So
they do the Braille in the elevator. That's why they have that really maniacal grin on right after they're done.
exactly. Floki VT for $5 says handicap is protected by the ADA. The DEI executive order didn't really do much for accessibility. It was added as a shield because why would you want to disable protections? Yeah, maybe. I don't know why. I think Trump should have not included it in the executive order unless there's something specifically that they're referencing, which I'm not aware of. But the whole thing seems retarded. Vitally Kimachuk for $5 Aussie bucks. Thank you so much. Says, I just watched the Vivek stream. Adam confirmed as elite theorist, quote, in a democratic system, a majority must be deracinated to stop mob rule. Brilliant. What was the Vivek stream? That was a while ago, wasn't it? We haven't talked about Vivek.
I am not. Elite theorist is actually in conflict with selectorate theory. I'm a selectorate theory guy. So
right.
A lot of times there's enough similarity that people think they're the same, but they're actually complete opposites.
Mm-hmm. Ace for $5 says the culture war related takes on the show are always great. Please don't stop. Squad enlightenment for life. Look at that. Thank you.
Ace was a little out of control on that last live stream. It was pretty funny.
Oh, I still haven't watched. I got to watch the PF Young.
Oh yeah.
Debate. With the not HT, with what FD?
FD signifier.
All these PF, FD is always like initials.
HD signifier.
Right. Okay. Now I want to. We'll come back to this later in the week, probably.
That's it.
Yes, that's it.
In my long career,
I'm gonna give you guys a little taste. Okay, a little taste. Get your beak wet. Every day that we're streaming. Okay. We're going to drag it out as much as possible.
We'll see if we get some copyright out of it.
Right.
Well, I mean, we're only streaming on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe we could drag it out for like a month. Okay. Very select clips.
Sure.
We'll see.
Here's 2 seconds of this video.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So this situation is pretty unhinged. So I'm going to let Ethan is getting attacked here. And I'm going to jump around this video. And we're going to see what's going on with all this.
My long career on YouTube, I've pretty much seen it all. I've been swatted several times with LAPD helicopters, the street shut down, police with guns drawn, doing a perimeter around my house. We've also been visited by the FBI 3 times. They were all to warn us of a credible threat against our lives. One time, most recently, he came at 7 a.m. and said, do not open any packages until you hear from me, as we have credible bomb threats against you that we found online.
Notice he's got a specific FBI guy. He's like, he came by at 7. I'm like, our personal FBI correspondent.
Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun to be internet famous and to attack, the leftists? Or whatever, and you get all this nonsense. I don't know. Maybe
such bullshit.
Maybe some of this was from people on the right. I'm not sure, but obviously the most recent stuff is from people on the far left. So I'm assuming it's all the people that are like virulently hate Israel and Jews and all that stuff.
Yeah, they think they're evil. They think they're committing a genocide.
They think they think Ethan is personally committing a genocide right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
They see Ethan Klein as Adolf Hitler. And of course, you're going to get crazy people who are like, oh my God, we got to stop Adolf Hitler over here.
Right.
That's why the framing is so evil, completely evil.
And humanity to the point where they're calling CPS, Child Protective Services, to come to our house and break up our family. On Friday morning, an agent showed up to our house saying that they had received an anonymous tip that our children were crawling around in dog shit, eating dog shit, and contracting diseases. Not only have they called CPS on us, now they're starting to try to call in a 5150 to get me committed. It's really gone on.
like insane. These
Look
people
at
are
him.
like
He looks
psychotic.
like he's crazy with all this.
with all
eye
with all his
ticks and
ticks.
shit.
Yeah. Okay. So he's gonna go through like the process of this CPS person coming to his house. It's also just crazy too that you could be like, okay, they get some like, how does this work? The government gets some report, an anonymous report that just says, oh, this person is like abusing their children. And they automatically like just show up and they're like, oh, even though you're a famous internet person, they just automatically assume it's like real, it's true. Like, what's up with that? It just seems weird. It seems like there should be some kind of process in place for this kind of stuff.
These people get off on fucking with people. That's like their pleasure. Psychopaths are drawn to these positions where they have outsized power and can fuck with people because that's how they get off.
Right. No, I'm just saying that CPS and these other organizations should have some process for like famous people to be like,
Oh, of course, yeah.
they're getting internet targeted, blah, 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 blah.
Have you seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
I have seen that, yes.
Nurse Ratchet shows up at your house.
Total psychopath. Yeah.
Nurse Ratchet was a freaking psychopath, was she not?
She was.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Right. And then after that movie, she went on to become a space Nazi on DS9 and try to summon literal demons.
That was the same lady?
Yeah, that was the same
Oh,
lady.
wow.
Yes.
Craze.
In fact, childless, and will likely remain that way. The CPS agent showed up and he started asking us all kinds of questions like, who feeds the kids? Who takes care of the kids? What do you do to the kids when you get angry? How do the kids sleep? Do the kids have toys? Is that what happens when you get mad, or what happens when your kids get mad? He walked.
I was like, do you ever get mad and like beat your children? You're like, yes. Like, why am I gonna ask that? Obviously, I was gonna say no, right? They'd be like, oh yeah, all the time.
It's weird because obviously some families practice corporal punishment. And if you do practice corporal punishment, the answer to that question is yes, I do hit my kids.
Right.
Yeah. How do you think I keep them in line?
I don't even know. Are you even allowed to like if you say yes, I spank my children? Is that like, oh, gotta take them away?
Probably.
That's crazy.
This is why people hate this shit. They really do.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it's really bad too. And he brings up later, which is, yeah, there definitely are real situations all across America every day of disgusting parents abusing their children.
Of course. Yeah.
By having this guy have to waste his time to come out to this non-abusive situation because you're trolling Ethan Klein, that's taking that guy's time away from a family where maybe the person is actually abusing their child.
They don't care.
They don't care. Yeah.
They don't care. Yeah. Where's the Huxley quote?
Yep.
That's exactly what's going on. This is an opportunity for them to mistreat somebody and feel great about it. Oh my God, I did the world a service here.
Right.
Got this guy's kids taken away from him.
The house, he looked in our refrigerator. He walked all around looking for dog shit, apparently. Although when he showed up immediately, he said, wow, this place is clean. Our 3- and 5-year-old boys were at school. Our 8-month-old is upstairs sleeping when he visits. And he says, I need to go upstairs and look at your infant visibly to see him and confirm he's okay. Well, he's napping in his crib. He goes upstairs to look around the house, to snoop around. He investigates Sonny, our youngest, wakes him up from his nap. And even though he woke him up during his nap, he was greeted immediately actually by a smile, because Sonny is probably the happiest baby in the entire world. He smiles at everybody. His name is Sonny because he is just a ray of sunshine. He just gave him a big smile. I mean, he's just the sweetest kid in the world. So we went back downstairs to continue the conversation, at which point he said something that both me and Hila had us both saying abso-fucking-lutely not. He said he was going to go to the children's school to interrogate them there. And we both said, you are absolutely not going to ever go to their school and talk to them. That is fucking insane. We agreed that he'll come back to our house and interview our 3- and 5-year-old children at a time when they're at home, so he doesn't need to humiliate them in front of his peers, his teachers, the staff there, and, you know, needlessly stigmatize them. It
is weird too that you think like, okay, you get this unquote anonymous call. You go to the house, you don't see this mess that you're supposed to be seeing, right? You see they live in a big house. It's a nice neighborhood. Everything seems fine. The baby seems fine, whatever. And you're just like, no, I have to go to this school to ask the kids these like weird probing questions that they're going to be super confused about.
Yeah, like they got some tip and cleaned up the place lickety split before the person got over there.
Right. It's just
it's like, so obvious what's going on here. Like you bring up the subreddit.
Yes.
And go, look, these people are attacking me. Look, I did this content nuke. This guy's a terrorist.
And it's probably some boomer who doesn't understand. He's like, whoa, internet? What is internet?
The CSP person's like, oh, I love Hasan. I listen to Hasan all the time. Oh, he's great.
I guess it's a
you're
maneuver.
Not you're not a Zionist, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Of the obvious suspect, which is the work of a subreddit dedicated to harassing me, my family, my coworkers, and their families too, frankly, known as Snark. H3 Snark is the place that they originated. If you don't know what Snark is, it's this growing phenomenon of communities dedicated essentially to destroy someone's life, picking it apart, harassing them, and just trying to ruin their life. It's something that's become quite common on the internet, and something that Reddit, who is the main host of such activities, has completely turned a blind eye to.
So yeah, they're supposed to obviously be moderating this stuff, and they're not. Well, that's not true. And he kind of goes over, they'll moderate it when it's Hasan, but they don't moderate it when it's Ethan for some very interesting reason.
YouTube is on that shit. YouTube will delete your fucking channel for that kind of shit.
Right. Yes.
The problem is that this subreddit, this community, is being legitimized by creators such as Hasan, such as Denims, such as Mike from PA, and all these leftist commentators who think they can get one up on me by sicking and participating and legitimizing the most crazed psychopaths on the internet.
I bring this to YouTube because I respect the H3 Snark, and I believe that they're being silenced. And I saw on the H3 Snark that Ethan had uploaded Instagram stories about Mika's rhetoric that says...
And it's about the H3 Snark subreddit. For more than a year now, Ethan has been talking about it and saying how toxic this place is, how they promote harassment.
Again, Hasan eating.
I know. I know.
Stuffing his face.
I know.
Why does he got to do that on camera? Are people into this?
He looks
There's
like
a bunch of fucking pervs watching Hasan.
Yes.
Doxing, stalking, and why it should be banned.
Oh God, it revolts me. Seeing Hasan stuff his face.
Yep.
Oh, it's so disgusting.
Because I believe these snark subreddits on Reddit should be banned. It's literally fostering the most psychopathic. It encourages harassment, doxing, stalking. It's just
I guess it's fine as long as it's not the Destiny subreddit.
I think it's time.
What was the crazy whataboutism? You're like, oh, okay. What about Destiny? It's like, that's not good either. What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly.
Right. It's like, that has nothing to do with anything. I don't think Ethan or anyone supporting the Destiny subreddit doing crazy shit either.
To hold all of them accountable. Here, for example, is Denims, aka Hasan Waiting Room, watching Bad Empanada talk about the state of our house and how we take care of our kids. Let's take a look.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that...
So the text, if you're just listening, it says, this stream was 2 days before someone called CPS on Ethan. So obviously this is what got people to do this action.
This is where it came from.
And you can even see in the chat, in Denim's chat, all these people are saying, I don't know if it's Denim's chat or Bad Empanada chat, but it's saying call CPS, like repeatedly again and again and again and again.
Right.
Keeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something. But they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, And every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. This is where Ethan tells a story about his family getting Giardia.
We already have mold Mondays. Now we have shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean...
So, well, first of all, number one, it's just funny that all these people, they'll just regurgitate. They'll hear these things. They don't do any fact checking. They automatically assume that it's true. Right? I'd be like, is that, I mean, it could be true, but is that true that, you know, you have Ethan or some person's like living in filth? That seems weird, right? But you'd be like, oh, you know, maybe it's true. I want to see like, where is the claim from, right? When you want to see how that information
The origin of the claim?
Yeah, into light here. You know, instead of just trusting a serial liar on the internet like Bad Empanada.
Yeah, of course. But people want to signal boost a lie. They don't care that it's untrue. They just want to. They're like happy that somebody is lying on the internet so that they have plausible deniability. They're like, oh, thank goodness I can just spread this lie that someone else did and irresponsibly, but I'm not to blame. I thought it was true. But look, the origin of it, I do know the origin of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he goes through it. He goes over it. And it's obviously like ridiculous and people completely blew it like out of proportion. And we're just making up shit. But also just notice here, like Denims is like, oh my God, she's so worried about the health of the children. She's like, this thing could just, you know, totally kill babies and blah, 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 blah. Later, you'll see she doesn't give a crap about health of children and makes up this like insane claim that like children are actually impervious or not affected by psychological trauma, which obviously goes against what most people think how any of this works.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that part of the video.
Much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are lots of things that you can get as an adult. You're totally fine. You'll be A-okay. No problem.
AIDS.
A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
Now, at this point, as he continues, notice the chat is almost in complete universal agreement. Call CPS. Call child endangerment. CPS, social services. Bro needs to unironically call CPS. That's child endangerment. Okay, if his kids have Giardia, they need to be taken away. Actual worst father ever, etc., etc. I'll let the chat play for you, but you can see just how crazed this community is. And once again, this is Denim's chat from the 1st. The call came on the 3rd.
Okay, let me jump ahead here because I think he explains.
Someone did call from this live stream, and it probably took him a couple days to send someone out.
Yes.
She believes that it's justified to break up our family. This disgusting fucking human being who's endorsed by Hasan and the entire left community on Twitch, who is protected and elevated by Twitch, is on her platform right now advocating for our children to be forcibly removed from us by Child Protective Services.
Nice behavior, right?
Terrible.
Here.
Yeah. People are awful.
Okay, so here's him explaining what the situation actually happened.
Very easy to address. In fact, Ducky, our Yorkie, when we got him as a puppy, also had Giardia, and we treated him the same way. Let's see what I said about it. That Olive has Giardia, which is a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
Olive is their dog, by the way.
And Olive has this?
Olive has this, yeah. She came to us with it.
Okay.
She had diarrhea, and
oh, poor baby.
Ducky came to us with that too. So she has Giardia, so we have her on an antibiotic, but we had to wait until Monday, which is today. We just got it today. Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has Giardia. Again, any reasonable person or parent understands that having a 10-month-old that is just learning to crawl is crawling around everywhere, putting everything in his mouth. I mean, these kids will literally just lick the floor, put anything in the world in their mouth, and that's completely normal. That's what having a toddler is like. Olive is a black Labrador. She sheds a lot. She's inside. She's outside. She's very clean. But the point I'm making, again, which all reasonable people understand, is that Giardia can actually be spread just from a surface. So if her bum ends up on the floor, or she sheds some hair, or she sat on a toy, you know, it could be a number of different things. If Sonny's crawling around putting everything in his mouth, it seems like a pretty reasonable suspect. If he's having diarrhea, we're like, oh man, maybe he got Giardia from Olive, which is actually commonplace to happen. And despite what Denham says, it is not certain death. It's actually completely normal to happen, and it's very easy to treat. Now, spoiler alert, it actually turns out when we got all of the poop tests back that he never had Giardia even, which I announced on the show, which they conveniently forget. So the only person that ever even had Giardia was Olive. So Sonny was having diarrhea essentially, and that was and that's why they called CPS. Because my 10-month-old baby, who's just starting to eat solid food, had diarrhea. That's why these people think it's justified to send an agent of one of the most overworked, underfunded, underappreciated community service workers in the entire fucking world to come and waste their time because my son had a diarrhea. When in the city of Los Angeles, there are kids and families that absolutely need help from people like this, and this guy's wasting his fucking time coming to my house and doing an investigation on my kids because my 10-month-old baby had diarrhea. By the way, Bad Empanada was recently banned for 7 days for playing a video game in which you roleplay as Hamas on October 7th, and he went to a military compound in that game and said he was, quote, looking for secretaries to kill. He was looking for Ela, who was a secretary in the IDF, to murder her in a game where you play Hamas. This is the type of person that is being elevated.
Ouch.
So we have the entire story is like not even true. Okay. They speculate this story before they get the facts in, which is like, it makes sense. You're like, oh shit, the dog, has some problem. Maybe the baby like ate some of its fucking hair or licked some surface or something. Turns out doesn't even have that, just had normal diarrhea. And these people are such scumbags that they just embellish the whole thing, make up all these lies, hyperbolize it, and literally just to sick CPS on them when, let's be real. I mean, these people know that they know that the story is bullshit, and they're just doing it as an excuse to essentially harass Ethan.
Of course they are. Yeah. I
And
mean,
this
a lot of people have the rule though not to talk about their kids on live streams for this very reason. To I think Ethan. Why didn't he see this coming from like 100 miles away?
Right, but see,
why is he telling this story about his kid on the podcast? You don't have enough to talk about. You got to talk about your kid's Giardia.
Well, they didn't have Giardia, but
right. But he postulates that they might have Giardia on the live stream. So
yeah, but see, that's what's so. You're right. That's so despicable. Obviously, they didn't anticipate these people being so unhinged. And you do have to anticipate people being unhinged.
Of course.
Never
of course you do.
Say anything, right?
Yeah, of course. Especially, I don't know the timeline here. I don't know when he dropped the content nuke. Obviously, he was working on the content nuke for a long time. So, I mean, I would just be more protective of my kids on the podcast. I wouldn't be fucking blabbing about my kids.
Sure. Well, I'm sure going forward, he's going to.
Yeah, he probably won't do that in the future. Yeah.
Right. That's one of the things where it's like, you shouldn't
people
have
should,
to do that.
We should live in a world where you can talk about your kids on a live stream and people are not going to go crazy, try to call CPS on you.
Right.
But unfortunately, we live in a world where people are just fucking insane, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And anything you say about your kids, they're going to twist into somehow you're abusing them, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So it's probably best just to avoid that kind of topic on a live stream. Just,
of course.
Ethan, maybe think of maybe that should be a rule for you moving forward, and you can avoid this nightmare
I'm sure
in the
it will
future.
be. But
yeah,
and then also like the guy who is spreading this, lie and all this misinformation. He's playing a fucking Hamas simulator video game, and Denham's and Hasan and all these other people, they still follow this guy. They still support this guy. They don't say, "Oh, this guy's like a psycho."
They love that stuff.
Yeah,
it's so people. Oh God, it's just. It is very blackpilling, but people are ruthless, fucking ruthless. They love that stuff.
But this is why these socialist scumbags, whenever they complain, and even people on the far right do this whenever, but it's more really the far left, it seems to me, they complain about like, oh, you just want civility politics, right? Civility politics. civility politics is what prevents this deranged behavior, because this all stems from exactly what you're saying, Adam, which is if you get into your mind that the person is evil, not because they even did anything, but just because of their ideology or their politics or whatever,
the
you
gloves
get in
are
their
off.
mind that they're evil, and your community says, fuck civility, I'm denoting this person as evil, so you can just do whatever you want to them. This is going to lead you down a bad pathway. This is what leads to eventual terrorist action. And so that's why civility politics is important. That's why being civil is important in our society. It literally prevents terrorism from happening.
Yeah, it's great. We should all be civil to one
There's
another.
bad empanada.
And you know
once
the
again,
people who aren't civil? We should fucking hang them in the street.
Yes. There you go. I agree.
Who posted a story saying, I'm the one who called CPS on Ethan Klein. I want CPS to take his kids away because they are seriously in danger. This is,
Oh my
once
God.
again, bad
Holy
empanada.
shit.
So he's the one apparently that did this.
What a fucker. What a fucker.
Yep.
Who's being elevated by Hasan, Matt Lieb, Denims, and tons of creators, leftist creators all over the internet.
How's he not? And yeah, here's all the people talking about him. How's he not banned from like all the platforms for engaging in this behavior? Like every platform. How's he not
Look,
banned from
Twitch
every
you can do
platform?
anything on, man.
Right. It's crazy. Does he have a Patreon? Do they have that? Remember, they have the, off-platform behavior.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
up with that?
That's only for conservatives. What are you doing?
Right.
Leftists
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else
is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Please welcome Bad Empanada.
Bad Empanada has been going crazy at Ethan on the second channel. Well, yeah, because Ethan Klein is too afraid to talk to Bad Empanada or talk about Bad Empanada or watch any of his videos. So fucking milk that guy, dude.
I just checked. Bad Empanada does, in fact, have an open Patreon. So,
Oh, he does?
yeah, I think it's funny. Patreon's like, oh, we can't have Carl on, years ago because he called literal white nationalists the N-word. But, you spread lies about someone and do a fake CPS call, try to get their children away. That's okay. That's totally fine.
I think Patreon doesn't make really much money at all. I think the heyday of Patreon is kind of past.
I see. So you think they're just super permissive now?
They're like, we just have to look the other way. We need the money.
Interesting.
Hell yeah, Bad Empanada, go in.
Can we just
This dude, Bad Empanada, I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's like actually psychotic, and he's been making a lot of hate videos about me and calling Ela terrorist and baby killer and all.
Dude, every time Ethan Klein brings up Bad Empanada, I like him a little bit more. That's the truth. I didn't really have strong opinions on him, and every time he brings him up, I'm like, stop making him sound base, man. Come on. Stop.
Bad Empanada has put out a video about H3H3, and this is just for my own.
There's just such bad incentives in this whole community, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is how Denim literally makes money. She makes money just being caustic to other content creators.
Yeah.
That's the source of her income.
Yep.
Yeah.
Own pleasure that we're going to watch.
It's weird. I don't know what's up with it. There's like this weird thing. Maybe if I can do a freeze on it or something. I don't know why this occurs. Okay.
I don't know if you guys know who that is.
What is up with like look
That
at her
duping
face.
delight. Oh yeah.
Actually
She's like,
psychotic, and
There's like this weird thing. I swear to God, I've never seen men do this. I've never seen guys do this. Only women do it. There's like this, they make this face that just screams like psychopath. Where like they have this weird like big eye expression and this weird smile and it just like exudes like craziness. I've never really seen a guy do that. Like when there's guys that are scary, they have a completely different face. Usually it's like an unhinged angry face or like, oh shit. But like women have this like weird like, yeah, duping delight, like gross, malevolent smile. It's very strange.
yeah.
I don't know why. Very weird.
She's imagining him decapitated with
Yes.
a big fountain of blood spewing out of his neck.
Right. They obviously have Mike
Gives
BA.
her pleasure.
Right. If Mike from PA endorsing
H3H3. H3H3 has like
These guys are twins. What's up with this? Why are they identical
the
twins?
dirty hobo. I mean, Mike from PA even looks even worse, but my PA is like classic, disgusting trash hobo look.
a mental breakdown.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And every time I watch this, it causes them to have even more of a mental breakdown.
On this Turk versus moron, he made a fucking Willie Mac show. Slob YouTuber Willie Mac show made a video covering the Gaza genocide because he noticed that putting Hasan's name in the title gets him more views than usual. It went about as well as you'd expect. Oh, dude. Okay. Okay. Critical support the bad empanada has gone up by wide margins now. Okay. Oh, this is on the Bad Empanada live channel. He didn't put this on the normal channel. Oh, my Lord. Oh, dude. Bad Empanada went from bad to good empanada. Bad Empanada went from bad empanada to based empanada.
These are all the Hasan orbiters. They're like, all of their internet clout comes from Hasan.
Well, it's funny because like yeah, exactly. But like with Bad Empanada, I think he actually had some tiff with Hasan because Hasan wasn't even radical enough for him.
Really?
Like, that's how insane this guy is. And then now that's why he's like, oh, well, now he's good empanada because he's, now suddenly he's saying something Hasan agrees with.
It's a trickle down clout theory.
Yes.
Now, trust me, I would pursue legal action against Bad Empanada, whose MO is essentially defamation. He actually fled to Argentina like his Nazi predecessors. And unfortunately, it is very difficult to get to and sue people in Argentina. So
there you go. He literally left the country. Okay.
Yeah, look, if there's no legal recourse, that's a horrible situation to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of procedure.
But I was like, I really don't want.
Okay, so here's the part where like Denims goes on this like weird fucking exposition about how children can't be traumatized at young ages because they don't remember anything, which is, it's a take. That's a very interesting take. I haven't heard that one before, but okay.
I want you to create any bad memory here for them. Like, they are 5 and 3. They don't understand this shit. So I told him.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
I mean, listen, I don't have the best memory. I still remember things that happened when I was 5. I remember things that happened when I was 3. This is such a weird thing. When you're 3 or 5, you don't form memories? That's not true.
How about those kids that are raised by wolves? All their memories are wolf memories.
Exactly. No, but also so much of like, a lot of times, like if children can be traumatized or abused at young ages, and then even if they forget, they still act differently because of the trauma.
Of
right?
course, yeah.
And then that's part of like, oh, you have to figure out like why you're being traumatized because something happened to you that you totally blocked out of your mind because it was traumatic when you were like 5 or 3. This is such a crazy, like the fact that she's like trying to make a justification for, creating problems in children's lives. It's very, very disgusting.
Do you know anything about Denims? Does Denims just live stream all day? Like she's live streaming right now?
Yeah, she's just some Twitch socialist Hasan Orbiter live streamer who just,
she just live streams all day long. All day long.
Because remember, when we first found Denims was a few years ago, and it was over the Hasan chair drama.
She defended Hasan. That's how she jumped into the orbit.
Yeah, she massively defended Hasan for watching content without crediting it, without even being there, without even reacting to it. And then she was also she gave like unhinged arguments, and then she was doing the same thing where she would just watch shit and just let it play, for a super long period of time and is not commenting on it. So,
but 13-year-old boys watch this because she's attractive and has her cleavage out.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the answer to the question.
Makes sense. Oh my God. They're so in love with Denims.
I mean, that's why do you think the CEO of Twitch watches it?
That is so disgusting. That is so disgusting. Like,
it's true. That old man is watching Denims for kids.
If you're in your 50s and you're glued to the fucking Denim stream, oh my God, fucking get a life.
I think he's actually Dan Clancy's like in his 60s.
Even worse.
Even worse.
Even
right?
worse.
Terrible.
You should be focused on accomplishing something before you die.
Right.
Not accomplishing denims.
Not yet. No, you're not. No, you're not. When we're being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff. But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15. You have maybe 1 or 2 memories. Talking to a random stranger.
Perfect argument for beating kids. I love it.
Oh yeah, look, you could just beat children under the age of 5 because they won't remember, right? Who
Yeah,
cares?
exactly.
It's totally cool.
Perfect. Lock them in a closet. Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Right.
Once isn't really memorable for a kid.
Now listen, if your 5-year-old or your 4-year-old says that they're in the wrong body and they need to transition, you have to listen to what they're saying. Okay. You have to do exactly what they say, but you can also beat them because they won't remember. So
Right. Why don't you just tell them, look, you may think you're in the wrong body, but you'll forget. Never mind.
yeah, you'll just forget this. Right, exactly.
There's a wide variation across about the mean across methods cohorts. The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old.
Oh my God, this is such great stream content. She's like, let's look this up.
And then she immediately, disproves her own point.
Oh, really?
Yes. The average adults.
You're not really forming.
It says the average adult's earliest memory is 3.5. Okay.
Okay.
And she was just like, no, it's not.
Memories at 3.
You literally just read out of your mouth that the average adult starts forming memories at 3. What is happening? What universe do we exist in where this is a popular creator? One more time, guys, because it's absolutely fucking unreal. One more time, guys.
There's a wide variation about the mean across methods cohorts.
Guys are like, she's so dumb. She'd totally sleep with me.
Oh, there you go. Makes sense.
That's what they're thinking. They're totally thinking that.
The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3. And it's pretty rare to be forming memories or like memories that you will keep like at 5.
Is this popular? Like, are 30,000 people watching this live stream?
Probably.
I don't know the numbers, but
Probably.
every time I figure out the numbers, I'm like completely demoralized. This is our society. Children are not learning from intelligent, experienced people. They're learning from fucking denims.
I know. Isn't it sad?
Yeah, look, this is Idiocracy is becoming a documentary. It really is.
Yep.
How exactly am I supposed to get through to a person and convince her wrong when she's literally disproving herself on her own stream and then ignoring what just came out of her mouth 5 seconds earlier? Her defense.
This thing is so stupid.
Someone in the chat says she has about 4K viewers, 4K live viewers. So
okay, that's too much.
She's 4 times as popular as us.
Right.
Well, I mean, she's got cleavage, so that makes
That's
sense.
Adam.
That's logical.
Adam, I want you to get breast implants.
Breast implants, not for the show.
For
I mean,
the
we could have a third chair on that just sat there and looked attractive. I mean,
okay.
People would accuse us of being sexist pigs, but I mean, they accuse us of that anyway. So
Can we get like a mop with like fake tits on it? And you could put like slap some eyes and lips on it.
I don't know why we just wouldn't get an attractive woman. I mean,
oh, okay. I guess that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
The mop angle is not.
You can get a robot. How about you get a robot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You like
look.
that? Yeah, get a robot.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Continued to persist on their subreddit. It was never moderated. In fact, it was completely covered up by the mod team of H3 Snark. Here they are. Here's the mods doxing our office. Yes, this is actually a real screenshot. Hi, I know you're on break, so I'll just drop this info here in case you need it in the future. We found the H3 studio and Teddy Fresh actual address. On the right is H3, on the left is TF. Studio listing, here's the link. It's identical to the H3. Here's their address. This is fucking insane. These are the moderators. This isn't even like the community members. These are the people running the fucking subreddit.
It's just
so crazy.
Is this going to help though? Is this going to solve the problem?
I mean, what else you're like, on one hand, you're like, okay, is it going to increase attacks? On the other hand, is it going to force Reddit to actually do something about it?
I mean, that's what he's trying for, but
right. I don't know.
I mean, he's got to transition for that to happen, right? There's not going to be any movement towards reform unless Ethan is a trans person.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. He
Yeah.
literally has to transition for that.
Because didn't they listen to Keffels and ban a bunch of people and shit like that?
They did.
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah, it turned out she's a fucking serial liar, psycho.
And she stole
Grifter.
like a bunch of money from all of her fans and stuff like that. So
Yep.
Yeah. But look, they took notice. I think she was on CNN even. She was in some big outlets. They're not going to listen to Ethan Klein. Look, he's a white dude. They're going to be like, hey, don't talk about your kids on stream. Shut the fuck up. And
He's a white
podcast."
dude and a Zionist. So, you know, definitely not going to listen to him.
The actual point of trying to break up our family and call CPS, has Reddit done anything? Despite us complaining, making noise, reaching out for the past 2 years about this snark community, worse. I believe, and I will show you why, that Reddit is colluding with, protecting with the moderators of this snark community. I believe that there's admins that work inside of Reddit that are members of this community and actively protecting it. I will show you my evidence. The first thing is that Ela works with a management company who has a connection to Reddit community managers. We first went through them, an official channel, to say, hey, this snark is out of control. They're harassing us all. They're definitely violating your site rules. Can you look into it? A day later, guess what? The snark page was permanently closed. Hooray, we said. That was awesome. All we needed was one person to take a look at it, and obviously it wasn't compliant with the rules. Well, 3 days later, the snark page was reinstated fully, and they made this post to celebrate. H3 mod announcement. We're back after a much needed break. We are just a group of volunteers and we appreciate your patience. Our relationship with Reddit is currently better than ever, and we're in good communication with the admins. Now that to me stood out quite tremendously, considering that our
That's like a big
subreddit was
fuck you.
600,000 users. The second biggest podcast subreddit on the entire site behind Joe Rogan has never had contact with admins. They have never reached out to us. But why is it that the admins are in constant contact with this small niche subreddit dedicated to harassing people, but we, one of the biggest subreddits on the website, have not heard a single word for them ever? When someone created a snark page dedicated to Hasan Piker, it was immediately deleted for harassment. Take a look. The subreddit was banned due to a violation of Reddit's content policy against harassing content. So it's harassing when it happens to Hasan Piker, but it's okay, great behavior when it happens to Ethan Klein. What's with the double standard? What about Trisha? Trishyland was a huge snark subreddit, was super active, and these people were, you know, really nasty. Trishyland was also banned. The reason given is this subreddit has been banned for excessive copyright removals. Now that's specifically interesting.
Okay. So yeah, you can see they just, you know, ban it when it comes to Hasan, ban it when it comes to other people. But for some reason, some very strange reason.
Yeah, they
ban
want
this.
people harassing Ethan Klein. Yeah.
How unusual.
They want to harass Ethan Klein off the internet.
Right. Okay, there's one other part of this, I think. Can jump to here.
God, this has been going on for so long.
Yep.
For so long. This is the cancel culture right here.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, call their work, get them fired, tell them they're a Nazi. Just internet stalking.
Posts on the new snark. The reports are being denied. Now, let me show you an example of one of the posts, just one of many, that Reddit refused to remove. The title is, I'm calling CPS on Ethan again. It says, this time because his kids are around Zionists, which is a high predictor for baby murder. This is a post that is still up on this subreddit that was reported, and Reddit admins reviewed this and said, no, this is compliant.
That is fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I know.
Holy shit.
So bad.
Reddit is just oh God. Someone should come in and revoke their 230 protections.
Right.
They're obviously making editorial decisions. It'll never happen, though. It'll never fucking happen.
Right.
That's how these companies get more and more out of control because they realize, oh, there's no rules in this game.
Right.
We can be as fucking murderous as we want.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. So that's for his video there. But it's just, so hopefully there'll be some movement on this. I mean, these people are unhinged, obviously. Sicking CPS on someone is so crazy. But
Right.
disgusting.
Maybe if
people
Ethan,
were despicable.
maybe if they started Donald Trump or Elon Musk snark community, then Donald Trump and Elon Musk would come in. They'd sick Pam Bondi on them, and they
There you
really
go.
fucking lose their 230 protection.
There you go. But it is also kind of interesting too. They go after Ethan instead of someone like, why are they not going after Donald Trump or Elon Musk or someone that actually has some impact on the policy that they're complaining so much about?
I'm sure they probably do. I'm
I
sure they
don't
probably
think
have
they
those
do. I
communities.
think they more it's this weird it's like it's like anti-parasocial relationships, right?
Yeah.
It's because they view that they can harm Ethan in some way. They don't think they can harm or do damage to Elon or Trump or something.
Yeah, they're never going to respond.
Right.
Ethan's going to make a whole video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Despicable. Okay. I sent you a post to bring up. I'm going to read after I do the super chats here, which is kind of interesting.
Was this
This is the Thomas Massey thing. But I guess you're right. Yeah, the people are attacking the Teslas. That is true. People are attacking the Teslas, which I obviously don't support. Floki VT for 2 hours says the A for the DEIA was added in the order because the original had it. Ah, that makes sense. Okay. Gene the Penguin for $5 says, hey, crawling around and eating dog poop is how Hasan would live if his mama stopped making him nuggies. That's a good point.
Of course, yeah.
Red Toa for $5 says, I worked for Wells Fargo. Those gay bank accounts actually exist. Oh, look at that. They're called financial accounts for gays. They make a really easy to remember acronym. Ah, look at Red Toa.
What's the acronym?
You goofball. You goofy goober. Okay. Electro for $10 says, as someone who worked in construction, I had to move female employees to different areas so they would stop chatting with male employees of different companies there. Well, look at that.
Yeah, they're all trying to get a husband.
Right.
They're like, look, a man with a job. I've never seen one of those before.
Right. That's terrible. That's despicable. Mr. Ubercross for $10 says, I'm 10 minutes behind, but CPS visiting a kid at school is very common. It's often the safest place for a kid to be honest without fear of reprisals from the parent. Not saying it's great, just normal. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is normal to do that. But I would hope that if they get some anonymous call about, oh, the house is covered in dog feces and the baby's rolling around in dog shit, and then you go to the house and it's not remotely like that, and they're like, oh no, there's just these scumbag internet people that are just harassing us, and you check the house, everything seems fine. I would hope you'd be like, okay, maybe this is all just bullshit. I don't need to go to the school to talk to the children.
These CPS people make no money, so they're not very bright.
They're just doing everything, whatever the checklist says.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe. Gene Entertainment for $5 says, anyone who works in social services knows exactly what certain traumas in very early childhood look like. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I would think so. I'm sure they've seen some things. So, J-Mac or Circuit 5, thanks so much for the $20. Thank you, J-Mac. Says the vast majority of memories you do remember when you're young are impactful and often traumatic. That's very, very true. I have several memories going back as far as 2. Denims must just lack the gray matter to form memories. Yeah, that's a great point, because usually often if you do remember something at a very young age, it is something traumatic. So, but I will say my earliest memory, I must have been, I don't actually remember I remember remembering it. I don't remember the memory, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, oh, I remember remembering that, though I don't have the actual memory, I must have been 1 or younger, because I was wearing diapers. I don't know what age you get potty trained, so maybe I was a little older than 1. And I remember crawling around a table that was in my, a billion years ago, my parents' house, and then wetting my diaper and then crying because I wet my diaper.
Hilarious.
That's my oldest memory. So
I would always want to do stuff in my parents and grandparents would say, well, you can do that when you're 5. So I would always say, well, I can be 5 if I want to. So obviously I wasn't 5 at the time.
Right.
But there were things like take apart the dishwasher and
take apart the dishwasher. Oh my God. You little monster child.
Yes.
Yes. Terrible. V Marie for $10 says, remember when Denims was confused by the concept of taking pride in your work? What a great EFAP. Yes. Denims is confused by a lot of things. Okay. Ace for $5 says, the same people who whine about platforming bad actors are supporting a PDF file like Bad Empanada. Make it make sense. Oh, I don't know about that accusation. So
yeah,
I'm unfamiliar with that.
I don't know anything about any of these people.
Right. Adam Godbot for $2 says, I got the comic funny book, nice butts book. Good. Look at that.
Nice. Another excellent review. Nobody said, oh, this book was horrible.
Right. Ace for $5 says, Denim's take on kids' memory makes sense if you know she supports a known PDF file, Bad Empanada. Yeah. I don't know about this accusation against Bad Empanada, but
yeah,
that's crazy. If true. I don't know anything about it. Noel Screaming to the Void for $2 says, you see Salt Lake Tribute doxed at Data Republican. Yeah, I don't follow at Data Republican, so I don't really know anything about him, but I did see that story that they had been doxed. People were covering it. So
Salt Lake Tribune, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't support doxing anyone. So
when the mainstream media does it, they always have some excuse. Oh, this is newsworthy.
Right. Commander Rosarius for $5 New Zealand dollars says, would you call the opposite of a parasocial relationship paramortal? Paramortal. Also, since still nice to catch these live lately, keep up the good work, fellas. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Mortal, huh?
Paramortal.
Social, maybe para-antisocial?
Para-antisocial would be the most sensible, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
The real Holtz for $5 says, I don't know, man. I remember eating cheese puffs and watching someone break on a bike when I was 2. Not much else. There you go. Got that cheesy puff memory. Okay.
Right.
Deep in there.
I mean, I do remember sexually assaulting the babysitter when I was 4 years old. So,
how old were you when you did this?
That was a famous story.
The famous story of Adam being a pervert at the age of like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Terrible. I can't believe you did this, Adam, when you were a 2-year-old.
Look, when you're that young, you're kind of innocent, right? I mean, they say you're innocent, so you can pretty much get away with murder.
Adam was like isekai'd into the body of a 2-year-old, so he knew he could get away with it. He's like, I'm gonna bat an eye if I have a 2-year-old and I grow up the babysitter.
Those girls, if you grow up the babysitter when you're that young, the girls just they can't help but laugh. They think it's hilarious. So
right. Look at this pervert.
If we have any 4-year-old listening to the live,
do not grope anyone. Okay. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Okay, so there's an interesting thing that happened. So there's a representative called Thomas Massey, who I'll be honest with, not my favorite representative. He's very concerned about the debt. He's the guy, I think we've talked about him before. He has a little he made a little badge that he wears that shows the debt clock when he's in Congress, like increasing by the second. So he's very, very, very concerned with the debt. I'm not a big fan of him. Obviously, we have different views on the debt, but I have to give him a lot of credibility because even if I disagree with someone, if they are consistent on their principle, even when it doesn't serve them, I have to give them a lot of credit for that. I think that's one of the most important things in life, because then at least if you have a conversation with them, it's not just tribalism. They actually have something that they believe in and you can have some conversation, right?
Yeah, but what if their principle is like steal as much from government as possible?
Okay, assuming they have a principle that's not amoral, right? That's not evil. Okay.
That's immoral. That's not amoral. That's
immoral,
wrong.
amoral, whatever, right? Exactly. So yes, assuming that they have a principle, because I don't think Thomas Massey is concerned about the debt, not because he's evil. He just has a different view of how things work.
Right,
and to be clear, the debt does matter, especially, as we were talking about, the debt does matter, especially as it gets larger when the interest rate is so high, because then
it matters at this point when we have inflation.
Right. Yeah, when you have inflation and high interest rates, the debt does in fact matter. Yes.
This is where we disagree, because I don't like the metaphor that people use, because it implies that we're $36 trillion in debt and we need to pay off that $36 trillion when we really just need to pay it down until the inflation is not a problem. So,
right.
yeah,
But anyway,
you need
that's
some money supply. So
right.
it's the broad money supply is the debt.
Yes. So, but Thomas Massie, he voted against the very recent Republican bill. I believe he was the only one. Originally, there was like 3 or 4 Republican holdouts against voting for this bill. I would essentially bring in some form of tax cuts and cuts to a lot of like to some sort of government programs, including Social Security. Not Social Security, Medicaid. And he voted against it. There are 3 originally that wanted to vote against it. Trump called personally, I believe, those individuals and convinced them to vote in favor of it, all except Thomas Massie, who was the only no vote. And his rationale for being the no vote is because he said, cutting taxes is going to increase the debt, right? So again, I have to give him credit for being consistent. So this is kind of interesting. Donald Trump has now come out and is attacking Thomas Massie, who a lot of people on the internet right are big fans of. So I'm kind of
because they want their fucking tax cut.
Well, they are fans of Thomas Massie.
He voted against it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I want my tax cut.
Okay,
Fuck.
so Adams was against it. But a lot of people on the internet right are very big Thomas Massie fans. So I'm kind of curious to see how this all plays out. Donald Trump not only came out against Thomas Massie, he came out swinging with his post. He said, "Thank you to the House Freedom Caucus for delivering a big blow to the radical left Democrats and their desire to raise taxes and shut our country down. They hate America and all stands for. That's why they allowed millions of criminals to invade our country. Sometimes it takes great courage to do the right thing. Congressman Thomas Massie of beautiful Kentucky is an automatic no vote on just about everything, despite the fact that he always voted for continuing resolutions in the past. He should be primaried. I will lead the charge against him. He's just another grandstander who's too much trouble and not worth the fight. He reminds me of Liz Cheney before her historic record-breaking fall and loss. The people of Kentucky won't stand for it. Just watch. Do I have any takers? Anyone? Thank you again to the House Freedom Caucus for your very important vote. We need to buy some time in order to make America great again, greater than before. Unite and win."
Wow. Okay. He's taking applications right now.
Right.
Primary.
So big swing against Thomas Massie to try to get him primaried. And it'll be interesting. It's obviously this is kind of, that's 2 years away, so it's kind of far away. Anything can happen. But it will be an interesting test to see, because if he gets them primaried, then that will be a big signal to the Republicans that they just have to, do whatever Trump says. If even someone who seemed to be pretty beloved on the right, turns against Trump in any capacity, and Trump basically says, "Fuck you, I'm going to destroy you," and he's destroyed. Where if Thomas Massie's not primary, then that's obviously a signal to the opposite to the Republican Party that says, well, maybe Trump doesn't really have the power to primary people the way that maybe they think he does.
Right. Yeah. So I guess we'll see how this plays out. If a primary challenge starts forming. But you're saying a lot of MAGA people might not really want a primary of this guy. Like they like this guy.
I've only ever seen people on the right and MAGA people like Thomas Massie. This is the first, so that's why it's kind of interesting, because this would be like the first real, come to blows with someone that people generally like on that team.
Because he complains about the debt, and they complain about the debt. So
yeah, he complains about the debt. He's very libertarian, those kind of things. So
right.
Okay. Then the other thing, this is also kind of interesting. I'll send it to you if you want to bring it up. Ukraine, Zelensky, or I guess I should say the Ukrainian delegation and the American delegation were meeting today in Saudi Arabia, in order to try to come up with some kind of deal. And so I was kind of waiting. We're curious to see, obviously, the U.S. had paused military aid. They had paused military intelligence to Ukraine. Then Ukraine, in response to that, Russia essentially attacked Ukraine, trying to get some of their land back. Ukraine's been holding some areas of actually Russia in order to try to improve their negotiation ground. And Russia,
they wanted to trade land for land. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Russia was sort of trying to take it back, basically using this pause on military aid intelligence to their advantage. And I wasn't very confident because Trump had a very callous answer to it. He's like, "Oh, well, that makes sense. I would do the same thing," which I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Pound
Not a
them
great
when they
thing.
don't, when you have the advantage over them.
Right. It's not a
Trump
great
is like,
thing
of
to say.
course, I'd be killing women and children, innocent women and children, civilians, if I had the advantage. Makes sense.
Not the best comment to make. I was like, ooh, okay. So then Ukraine then attacked back. I don't know if it was today or it was today and yesterday, hitting with some massive drone strikes in Russia.
Yeah,
You know, hitting
Moscow.
Russia. Yeah, in Moscow.
Yeah.
So
I remember because I tweeted out like I was being hyperbolic when I talked about the Ukrainian forces marching into Moscow, saying that would be an impossibility because of the nuclear weapons thing, right? Obviously, people would be too afraid to do that because of nuclear weapons. And all anyone focused on was, oh my God, you're fucking crazy if you think Ukraine can hit Moscow. And then like 3 days later, oh yeah, they attacked Moscow. Right? It's like, wow,
that's funny.
Look, I guess they can hit Moscow. They shoot down a bunch of the drones. So I think they send like 300 drones out, but maybe 30 of them get through.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So that, obviously that all happened. Oh, then I don't know if you saw, it was like really weird because, what's his name? Lex Friedman, like he has this like weird fucking post. Like when Russia is attacking Ukraine, he doesn't say anything. When the drone attack hits Russia, he's like, we need peace on all sides. It's like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah. Oh, his
It's very
interview with
cringe.
Zelensky is so cringe. So
Right.
absolutely cringe.
Right.
And Zelensky does a good job of not calling him out on how retarded he is, but you can tell Zelensky is like, God, this kid is fucking dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So with all that going on, oh yeah, and also there's this weird story too. So today and yesterday, X was having problems because someone was, slowing down X service. I couldn't use it in the morning yesterday and today. And there's some hacker group that was literally attacking X with DDoS attacks and stuff and trying to slow down the website. And it was weird because Elon Musk said in an interview that they thought that the IP addresses were coming from Ukraine, which, I mean, to me, I'd be like, okay, why? Like, that would obviously be the stupidest thing on the planet. Like, the Ukrainian government's not going to, while they're trying to negotiate with America, they're not going to fucking trying to like hack X. That's like, it seems so retarded that that ever be true. And then it turned out that it was some other, or at least people believe that it's this other hacking group that has nothing to do with Ukraine. That's actually was in the past, I forget the name, it was like Darkstorm or some cringy name. They've actually been attacking people and hacking people both as hired guns just for money, but also for political purposes, including hacking people that are anti-Palestine and hacking people that are pro-Ukraine. So they actually were hacking people that were pro-Ukraine in the past and attacking them. So, so I don't know, maybe it's a little false flag thing, or maybe it's their own motivation. Maybe they're just getting paid by someone. Yeah. But anyway, so all that's going on. So I was curious to see what would be the outcome of the Ukraine delegation's meeting with America and Saudi Arabia. And we have the answer. Okay.
All right.
So we have the answer here. I hope. This is posted by the official website for the president of Ukraine. Okay. Today in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, under the gracious hospitality of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the United States and Ukraine took important steps towards restoring durable peace for Ukraine. Representatives of both nations praised the bravery of the Ukrainian people in defense of their nation and agreed that now is the time to begin a process towards lasting peace. The Ukrainian delegation reiterated the Ukrainian people's strong gratitude to the President Trump, the United States Congress, and the people of the United States for making possible meaningful progress towards peace. So look at that. They made sure to say, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Now,
did they put a picture of the meme?
They should have put a picture of the meme. Though they didn't, if you notice, they didn't say thank you to JD Vance.
Right.
They should have.
Good.
I think they should have been like, that'd be like a nice little passive aggressive thing.
Thank you to the president and to his glorious vice president, JD Vance.
They should have said glorious. Yes. His glorious, masterful, very important vice president. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Now here's where we actually get to the meat. So this is interesting. Ukraine expressed readiness to accept the United States proposal to enact an immediate interim 30-day ceasefire which can be extended by mutual agreement of the parties and which is subject to acceptance and concurrent implementation by the Russian Federation. The United States will communicate to Russia that Russian reciprocity is the key to achieving peace. So this is very interesting because obviously a big point of contention was that Zelensky didn't really want to do a temporary ceasefire, and now they are accepting a temporary 30-day ceasefire on the condition that Russia accepts the ceasefire.
Yeah, they got wise.
Right. So that's kind of interesting. Obviously, I wonder. I wonder what changed, because obviously, who wants to accept a temporary ceasefire is going to be on who thinks they have a stronger position. So if Ukraine feels like they have a stronger position at the moment, they're not going to want to take the ceasefire. Maybe the lack of military support basically forced them to accept the
that's
ceasefire.
Exactly what happened. It's exactly
which
what
is
happened.
kind of gross, actually, but okay. Basically, they forced Ukraine to accept the ceasefire. Now it'll be interesting to see if Russia agrees to this. I don't believe so. In chat, let me know. I don't believe Russia has responded yet to the ceasefire agreement. So because it just came out.
A bunch of people died in apartment complexes in Ukraine. Like,
yes,
a lot of people, you argue on Twitter and you're like, these people don't know fucking anything about this.
Right.
They think that all of the fighting is at the front lines and that the people who are back behind the front lines are safe. That's not true. They send drones, they send missiles, they send all kinds of shit all over Ukraine, everywhere. And when we were doing intelligence sharing with them, we would be able to give them a heads up. Oh, look, there's some inbound missiles coming over here. And everyone would, like, a siren would go off and everyone would run to the bomb shelter, right? All the civilians.
Mm-hmm.
When we turned our satellites off, that stopped happening. So they don't have time to they don't get the notice that incoming missiles are coming, and they end up hitting the apartment complexes. One, emergency services responded to, and they hit it again to kill all the emergency service workers.
That's yeah. That's what's so despicable, and that's why it's so crazy. People like Russia's literally doing Hamas in terrorist level style. Like, we're gonna attack once, and then we're gonna attack the same spot. 20, 30 minutes later, when the emergency people come in to kill, the first responders.
Right. Yes.
So, which is just disgusting, obviously. Okay, actually, I was able to check on Twitter. So there's there's a website. I literally translate it from Russian to English. So maybe this is a true. I'm assuming that this is true. It says, State Duma Deputy Lieutenant General Viktor Sobolev commented on the U.S. proposal for a complete ceasefire for a period of 30 days. According to the parliamentarian, Russia will not agree to this ceasefire, since the U.S. will rearm Ukraine during the time and start the war anew. The politician stated that he considers any temporary ceasefire unacceptable, recalling that Russian President Vladimir Putin had spoken about this earlier. The temporary ceasefire, according to the general, only plays in the hands of Ukrainian nationalists who will regroup, replenish the ranks, and be replenished with drones in 30 days. So, at least there's this one website that's claiming Russia has already rejected the ceasefire, at least the original ceasefire proposal, and apparently they have responded, according to someone, with a ballistic missile strike on Odessa. So
this is the thing. This is the thing.
Right.
I think Trump is going to come to the realization that Russia's not going to come to the table. Right. And I think he's made every overture he could possibly make to Russia, beyond like joining the Russian side.
Well, that would be interesting is if there has been so much, giving so much to Russia before the negotiation even started. And if Russia's still like, fuck you, what is Trump's response to that going to be? He's going to have to come out hard. Otherwise, he's going to look like a pussy.
I guess he will be bullied into adopting the status quo then, but he'll be bullied into it by Putin, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So interesting. We'll see what happens. I am curious to see the response to this. Also, something else is important is that it says, according to this statement, it says the United States will immediately lift the pause on intelligence sharing and resume security assistance to Ukraine. Okay, so supposedly the pause is gone now that Ukraine has agreed to this ceasefire.
So that happened now?
That happened now, yes.
So intelligence sharing is back on?
And aid and military aid.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. Holy shit.
So that's good news.
Holy shit.
So
that came out of the Saudi Arabian peace talks.
Yes. Yes.
Fascinating.
The delegation also discussed the importance of humanitarian relief efforts as part of the peace process, particularly during the above-mentioned ceasefire, including the exchange of prisoners of war, the release of civilian detainees, and the return of forcibly transferred Ukrainian children. Yeah, Russia literally kidnapped children, which is psychotic. Both delegations agreed to name their negotiating teams, and immediately begin negotiations toward an enduring peace that provides for Ukraine's long-term security. The United States committed to discussing these specific proposals with representatives from Russia. Ukrainian delegation reiterated that the European partners shall be involved in the peace process. Lastly, both countries' presidents agreed to conclude as soon as possible a comprehensive agreement for developing Ukraine's critical mineral resources to expand Ukraine's economy, offset the cost of American assistance, and guarantee Ukraine's long-term prosperity and security.
The mineral deal is back on.
Well, it's interesting because at first there was this, the Trump administration had been very adamant about wanting the mineral guarantee first, but now it looks like the ceasefire will come first. So that could be good. Well, I guess if Ukraine's in favor of it, they believe it'll help them militarily if they can rearm and everything. So this seems like this is good news for Ukraine. So that's great.
Yeah. Yes. Look, it's been a hectic, I'm sure, couple weeks for these guys. Well, it's been like a week, really, hasn't it? I don't think it's even been a couple.
It's been like
weeks.
2 weeks, but yeah, it's been a very hectic 2-week
Oh,
period.
okay, maybe it has been.
Right.
Since the blow up, the big blow up in the Oval Office.
Right.
They keep showing the clip of Trump berating Zelensky, and it's just, it just gets cringier and cringier every time I see it. You don't have the cards. You don't have the cards, Zelensky. You don't have the cards. You got nothing.
There's no cards, yes. Actually, okay, here's a clip I'll send to you. I found on Twitter. Here's a clip of Trump and Elon, or I guess Elon's just standing there with this kid again for some reason. Trump talking about this ceasefire proposal. So
you're trying to start World War III.
Right. I'm interested to see if he gonna come out hard against Russia if they just tell him to F off. I feel like he's kind of positioned himself as he's gonna have to. So I mean, he doesn't have to do anything, but
his base is going to be very unhappy, right?
Some might be, yeah. So okay, let me know when you.
What do you got?
I sent you a clip.
Is it in the? Oh, I thought you were putting
It's a Twitter
the watch
clip.
together. Or something.
No, it's a Twitter clip.
Okay.
It's Trump talking about this recent ceasefire proposal, and he's saying he hopes Russia will accept it.
This just came out?
Yes. Breaking news.
Oh, look
just
at
came
this.
out. Okay.
We got 1 minute on the clock here. You ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Ceasefire. Ukraine. Ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. We can get this horrible war where 2,000-3,000 soldiers a week, every week, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 sometimes. I get the reports. And they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think it's a very big, I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great. If we can't, we just keep going on, and people are going to get killed. Lots of people.
Okay, sounds like he is going to adopt the status quo. An interesting thing is the Oval Office thing is still weighing on him. He brings it up. He totally brings it up.
Right.
Yeah. Be very different than the Oval Office thing. He did a Freudian slip too on he's like, wipe out this deal.
Right, right. Well, if Russia doesn't agree to this and it starts being obstinate, I mean, it would show that Zelensky's strategy was like completely off. They should have just agreed to anything, essentially, right? Because they would have, I mean, I guess they couldn't predict it, but you just assume Russia's not going to agree to anything. So you should just agree to whatever Trump wants, knowing Russia's not going to agree to it.
Yeah, he could have avoided all this.
Could have avoided that, all that,
Yeah.
in the White House.
Yeah.
Not that it absolves JD Vance for soy cooking out, but you gotta work with. So that's interesting. That's good. I hope this sort of works out for Ukraine's favor. Glad that the intelligence pause and military aid is back on. So,
are you watching any of the stories on Elon Musk getting bitched out by Marco Rubio? And
yes.
You got any opinions?
Well, first
on
I
that?
want to say it's got to be weird to be Elon's kid there. That kid's gonna grow up and he's gonna look at clips of like himself fidgeting, like it's like the president of the United States is talking about people dying in another country, and there I am fidgeting as like I'm like 3 years old. It's got to be weird, right?
Well, he probably thinks that he'll look back on it fondly, like, "Oh, my dad was so great. Look, he took me to
I'd be like,
visit the
that's
president."
embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed. I mean, it's not horrible. I just think it's embarrassing.
I mean, if you're one of Elon's 12 other kids, you're probably like, "Why is he always in the
That's
spotlight?
a good point.
Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck you never take me to the White House?"
I never get to fidget in front of the president and pick my nose and tell him to shut up, right?
Obviously, you hate me.
Right. No, well, so my understanding of the Marco Rubio blow-up story was essentially, we talked about this before. It kind of stems from, well, first, it seems like it really first started stemming from Elon throwing out that email where he was telling everyone that they have to tell him what they were doing or they're going to get fired, which is obviously shitting all over and stepping on the toes of all the people that are in charge of these areas of government, including Marco Rubio. And so, there was some big dust up in the Oval Office, supposedly, where they went back and forth because he was attacking Marco Rubio and he was attacking, I forget, someone else in the Trump administration for not firing enough people. And they were pushing back and yelling at him. So,
yeah, they're like, "Fire more of your people in your department." He's like, "Wait, I need those people. I got shit I got to do."
Right. Well, that's what's kind of interesting is because, like all these people, now that they're in power, they have objectives and goals they want to accomplish.
Right.
And they can't accomplish those goals if they don't have staff or people or anything like that. So
Fire half of your intelligence community so you get half the intelligence information from around the world. That'll be good for decision making, right? Well, maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe I like to have the intelligence.
Right.
It's so weird. It's just so weird. It's funny because, I mean, obviously Elon Musk seemed a lot cooler when he was making cool cars and stuff like that. But the juxtaposition of I make cars next to, well, look, we're collecting valuable intelligence all over the globe that keeps us out of trouble. You're like, oh wow, that's way cooler.
Right.
You're like Team America. Yeah, actually we are.
Everybody
fucking hates that.
It's true.
They're like, oh my God. The government's incompetent, Adam. How can you? I can already hear the comments. That's so sad. But anyway. Anything else?
The only thing that's just kind of weird and silly is, there's been this push to have fast food restaurants use beef tallow to fry their fries again instead of vegetable oil. Which I don't know that much about the difference of. I believe beef tallow has some amount of protein in it, so it might be a little bit better, though it has higher saturated fat, I believe, where vegetable oil has higher unsaturated fat. And it was but anyway, people were pushing for this beef tallow thing. And it was very weird because RFK, who's like supposed to be the health guy, he's having this conversation with Sean Hannity in a Steak and Shake. Okay, they're like doing this weird, it's like basically an ad for Steak and Shake where he's talking about them switching the beef tallow. It's just very weird optics to have the health secretary like, oh yeah, fast food, Steak and Shake. Get your fries. They're in beef tallow now. Like, it's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I
Weird.
might try them just to see if there's a big difference.
I'm curious to try them too. I'm just saying it is unusual to see the health secretary.
I
at a
don't know
fast
if we
food place,
have a
like-
steak and shake in Southern California.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
sucks. I like Steak and Shake. They're pretty good. So
Steak and shake.
disappointing. But you got your In and Out. So
Yeah. Well, we
Where's
might
your
have it. Oh, it looks like, yeah, look, we got steak and shake. Fuck yeah.
there you go. You can try your beef
No, wait,
tallow fries.
that's Shake Shack. That's not
Oh,
steak
that's
and shake.
different. That's different.
Yeah, we don't have steak and shake, it looks like.
Right. Mr. Cross for $10 says, I know people are freaking out because the egg market is collapsing, but at least Trump is making the S&P 500 more affordable again. Yeah, how do you feel about the stock market going down?
Well,
being
look,
more
like I
affordable.
said,
Yeah.
like I said, I almost messaged you
Mm-hmm.
and said, Sitch, remember I told you, like, market crashes are your best opportunity to make money? Like, you should be getting ready for that.
Yep. Well, we'll see. You got to figure out where the bottom is, though, right? You don't want to buy a bunch of shit and then it just collapses.
I mean, in 2008, Bank of America went down to $3.50 a share. It usually hovers around $40 a share. So
Right. That
I'm
would have
not
been
sure.
a huge investment. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I bought a bunch of Bank of America
Wow,
at
look at you.
$3.50 a share. That's why.
Interesting.
That's why I'm telling you. I'm like, well, I mean, it can still. I mean, it could have went down to $2, but it didn't. It went back up to $40 a share.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if any of the banks or Nvidia or anything drops to like very low and you can snatch it up.
Obama was president at the time, and obviously the government was basically playing winners and losers, right? Obviously, they let Lehman Brothers go under. They saved various other banks. I think Washington Mutual went under. But my thinking was, it's literally got America in the title, right? Bank of America. There's no way Obama. It would be too symbolic for them to let Bank of America go under, right?
Right.
So that's why I was like, I'm buying Bank of America. They might look, JP Morgan Chase, they might let them go under. It doesn't have
not Bank of
America in the name,
America.
but
Yeah,
not
that's
Bank
funny.
of America. Yeah, exactly. So
Wasn't
that
Bank
was-
of America
that was
like
my thinking.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't that there was some banker investment firm that they were like questioning letting go under, and they
Lehman
decided,
Brothers.
Well, Lehman Brothers they let go under. I thought.
Yes, yeah. But
then
they
there was
saved
one-
the other one, yeah.
Yeah, there was one after.
Was it
Lehman-
Bear
Oh, was it
Stearns?
Bear Stearns? Yeah, something like that.
Did Bear Stearns go under, or did they organize a buyout? Goldman Sachs was one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Rich Jammer for 35 months. Thank you so much. Says, I got the comic this week. Also, did you see that Elon is making an alternative to YouTube with X? It's called X Videos. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. He's playing a little joke on us. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
he
that's a
is?
porn site.
Are you looking up X videos now?
I'm pretty sure X
Bring
Videos
it
is a
up.
porn
Send me
site.
the
Yeah,
link.
Exactly. Look at you. Fondue for 2 hours says, Task and Purpose is a good video on the effects of the aid pause. The issue is far worse if Ukraine loses air superiority by not having the missile defense over their cities and power grid. Yeah, actually, I did watch that video. It is a good video. Task and Purpose does very good videos. And there was, because I was looking up, I was trying to see, because the Trump administration had made this claim at first that they were, only pausing intel to like prevent them from doing attacks, not defensive intel. But then the more I looked into it, there was a lot of convincing arguments that that's not really possible because that's kind of like the best offense is a good defense. They're talking about how by basically stopping their offensive operations, it allows Russia to attack, to do all these things offensively. And so it does really hurt Ukraine's defenses. So obviously, I would imagine that that had a pretty significant impact on Ukraine agreeing to the ceasefire that they just agreed to.
Yeah, the satellite imagery they're taking is inside Russia. That's how they know the missiles are coming. They see them
Right.
fire from inside Russia. They see their planes take off. They see all this information that they can share. Like if they just look over what's going on in Ukraine, then they can't tell them. They don't have the early warning system. But at the same time, if you think about it, your eyes are on Russia. That's where you're looking. Of course you can use that information for offensive attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got all the fucking data right in front of you. So I don't see how they could. It just doesn't make sense that they could only do defensive.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. You know, I wonder if the United States military is heavily invested in cloud seeding technology for this purpose, to try to, if they get into a war with a country that has satellites, if they can make a bunch of clouds to kind of hide the cover plane activity and stuff.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Sulla for $2 says, spoilers for the Watchmen movie. The director's cut adds more scenes from the comic, like Hollis Mason's murder. I prefer it to the theatrical. She loves the cartoon. She loves cartoons. That's why I was conflicted about which would be more accessible to her. Well, I mean, she loves cartoons and watched the cartoon one, right?
I don't know that I've seen the director's cut. I saw Watchmen in the theater when it came out. So obviously I saw the theatrical cut. I since watched it again, but I don't know what I was watching. I assume I was just watching the theatrical cut.
I haven't seen the Watchmen cartoon. It came out last year. I should check it out. So I'm assuming it's pretty good.
Wasn't the super chat about the director's cut?
It was because they asked on Sunday, should they show the director's cut, the theatrical cut, or the cartoon version?
Right.
So if your girlfriend likes cartoons, I'd recommend the cartoon. Assuming you've seen the cartoon and it was good, obviously. But okay. Lethal Strain for 2 hours says there are people who get PTSD from words. Oh, these are also the people. Yeah. It's ironic that Denim's on people, they get PTSD from words, but it's okay for children to basically be, traumatized or afraid of them being taken away from their parents or something.
It's all just bullshit. They're all fucking massive liars. That's what it is.
Right.
When they're like, "Oh, I'm getting PTSD from what you're saying. You're microaggressioning me." They're like, "It's bullshit."
Yep.
It's bullshit. Liars.
Lethal Strain for $2 says, Massey put out a fundraiser message 5 hours ago. We'll look at that.
I'm being attacked.
Give me money. It's pretty funny. Cameraman 502 for $2 says, news, Ukraine agreed to the ceasefire for aid resuming. Yes. It's wonderful. And Caleb the Cynic for 16 months says, woo, 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 woo. Also, there's this weird thing. I don't know if there was ever a reaction to it. Tucker Carlson claimed that GOP Senator Tom Cotton is the one trying to block the release of the JFK files. To which Tom Cotton said on X that is completely untrue. And so I don't even know why Tucker said that or where that claim comes from, but that's interesting.
Looks like 4 of you also back the comic, so thank you so much. The international shipping prices are killing me, so it's super helpful.
Whatever happened with the Epstein files? Weren't we supposed to get those sometime?
I mean, logically, Epstein was probably cultivating CIA sources all over the world, right? In other countries.
That's the thought process. Yeah.
So do you think they want to, they've already done all the damage to these girls to get these CIA sources, to get somebody like inside the Russian government, right?
Right.
Do you want to lose that CIA source because you share the list with a bunch of fucking MAGA people?
Well, they don't care about that. They just want to see the famous people on the list. So just redact all that and just show us the famous people, right?
Yeah, but they're going to say, what's this redacted stuff? That must be Bill Gates.
Right. You're right. That's true. That's true.
I mean, isn't that kind of what they did? Like, I mean, we got this source super close to Putin.
Right.
Blabbing up a storm, giving us everything.
And
we've got to lose that source.
So I guess we'll see. You had predicted that we're never going to see the Epstein files. I think you're probably right. I'll probably never see them, or they probably don't exist.
Well, this is why Pam Bondi said it's a question of national security.
Right.
Because they're like, we have hundreds of sources in other countries that we have like major dirt on. So they're inside these governments feeding us information. And we kind of like having that information.
Right.
It's useful. Keeps us out of wars and stuff.
Right. Okay. Ace for $5 says FD signifiers weird racial solidarity makes me see him as a Klansman, a freak who believes we're connected solely because of skin color. There you go. Ace doesn't like FD. J-Mac, thanks so much for $20. Says, do you guys remember Denham's deleted tweet saying streaming is infinitely harder than working a 9 to 4 job? She said she worked 12-hour shifts and commuted 4 hours and that she'd still rather do that than stream. She's a clown person. You know, I'm glad you reminded me of that, J-Mac, because I 100% forgot that she had said that unhinged, retarded statement. So there you go. Total clown person. Anyways.
She'd rather work 12-hour shift with a 4-hour commute than stream.
Obviously, that's a person who's never done those things because that is hell on earth, and no one wants to do that rather than fucking stream all day. So,
man, I get caught in LA traffic, and I'm ready to slip my fucking wrists.
Exactly,
like, it is a nightmare.
Yep.
I can't imagine being stuck in that every single day.
Well, also like just the idea. Okay, she's working 9 to 4 and has a 4-hour commute. So what? She gets home at 8 and she wakes up at 5 in the morning. Like, does anyone believe that? That's not no one believes that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. All right. Well, this was a great show. Obviously, thanks to those of you who backed the comic. And you got anything, Sitch?
That's it. See you guys on Thursday.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukrainia.